Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Joker from the Batman films and a little bit of history and backstory and when I first discovered them as well. Please like and subscribe to this video if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you're updated about any future videos that I do. So the first Joker that I'm going to talk about today is Jack Nicholson Joker. And I read somewhere that his Joker was inspired a lot by Mark Hamill because his inspiration came from the Mark Hamill Joker from the animated series of Batman. Mark Hamill was the Joker from the animated series of Batman, and he is a lot more scarier, I would say, than a lot of the other Jokers in the in the timeline. And I read that his outfit was inspired by the comics, and he was really inspired mostly by the Mark Hamill Joker with the crazy gadgets. And there's a scene in the Batman that I watched yesterday where he shakes someone's hand and it electrocutes him and he burns. But I know in the Mark Hamill one that I watched, he used to electrocute them and they just used to be electrocuted, and they didn't blow up and burn like in that. They made it more surreal because it was a film and not a series where it's cheesy and funny and everything. And I know that in the actual Batman from 1989, it was a lot inspired by a comic. And I remember reading that there was this comic where the Joker was called Jack Napier, and he was a mastermind criminal, like in the film, and he fell in a tub of acid and became the Joker. That was in one of the DC comics as well. So yeah, that's pretty much some of the history behind Jack Nicholson. And I first discovered him because when I watched Batman, the 1989 Batman, and I found it really, really crazy and fun and funny. I remember when I was younger, however, there's a scene in the film where his nerve damage has gone wrong, and he says, "This is all I can do." The doctor says, "This is all I can be put up with," and he basically laughs hysterically, like really creepily. And when I was younger, I don't know how old I was, but when I was really young and I started watching this, I got really scared of the Joker and the crazy laugh. It reminded me of a crazy clown. So he's a crazy clown pretty much, but I got freaked out a little bit, and I was sort of my head was down like this, and I was sort of I sort of ran away and stopped watching it because it just really creeped me out, and I just stopped watching it until later on in life when I was a bit more older and I watched the Joker again, and I just thought it was just crazy and funny. Didn't think anything of it. But yeah, I used to be scared of that scene all the time. It does bring back memories when I watch it as well. But I did like Jack Nicholson. He was a really good Joker. He was crazy. He sort of reminded me a bit of the Mark Hamill Joker a little bit. And the costume was still the same, like the green and the purple. I've noticed that he has orange jumper here on his neck when he has his tie, which sort of reminds me of the standalone Joker film with the orange and red. But yeah, I really liked him. I thought he was really, really good until obviously Heath Ledger came along, which was a more narcissistic, crazy Joker who wanted to kill, just got off on pain and wanted to kill everyone around him. And at first, when Heath Ledger came along, I didn't like him per se. I thought he wasn't going to be a really good Joker and he wasn't going to push it as much, because I remember watching the old Joker, which was Jack Nicholson, and thinking, I don't know if he can compete to that. And I just didn't. There was a lot of people who doubted Heath Ledger a lot with his Joker and thought when he come along he wasn't going to be as good. And I thought that as well, even though I shouldn't. But I thought that as well. But then when I saw him on screen in The Dark Knight, Batman, I actually found him, really good. And he was really crazy and he got off on pain. He's so narcissistic and so evil and wants to do everything in his power to sort of get the Batman and trap people. He was more crazier though than the other Jack Nicholson Joker, I think, because he gets off on pain and it kind of his Joker kind of reminds me a bit of a similar villain that I know, which is called Loki, and he's a bit of one. He's one of those people that gets off on other people's pain, and if anyone tries to hurt him, he'll just laugh at it. Like, there's a scene in The Dark Knight where he has to find out where Rachel and Harvey Dent have been kidnapped, and he has to find out where they are. And he sort of Batman keeps punching him, but he just laughs hysterically, and nothing hurts him. Pretty much, he just gets off on pain. I found him really, really good as the Joker. I heard that in the history of his Joker, I heard that he locked himself away in a room for days and days on end, so he could do the Joker properly, because that's what you do when you try to act as the Joker. And he had the purple and green suit, but it was sort of like jumper underneath, the same as Jack Nicholson. I think that's pretty much all the history I know about it, but he locked himself away in the room and he tried to get into his Joker, and then obviously came out and it was brilliant. And I know things like that can make you go crazy and stuff, because there was a story that my tutor told me in college, which I don't know now who it was exactly, but there was a Joker actor or someone that played the Joker in previous, and it said that he played the Joker so much that he went crazy in his mind, and I think he jumped out of a window and committed suicide. I don't know, my tutor told me this in college. I don't know how true it is. I don't know what Joker is as well. But he'd just gone really crazy and just jumped out the window because the character was just getting too much for him. And I know that things like that can actually happen to people that are sane and act like the Joker as well. I mean, everyone says that's how Heath Ledger died, because Heath Ledger's not with us anymore, but that's what they say. They said that he died playing the Joker, when it wasn't. It was actually the last film he ever done, which was Dr. Parnassus, which he did when he was in the freezing cold and he got flu. And also it was to do with drugs, as always, and that's what made him, die and stuff. It was all down to like drugs and all. I know people say it was the Joker that made him die, but I don't think it was. That's just all rumours. So that's pretty much a bit about the Heath Ledger. I found him good. And then there's the Mark Hamill Joker as well, which I was mentioning, which I watched. I watched some of the series, and I've also watched some of the films. There's a film called Batman Beyond I watched when I was really, really young, and I had it on video on VHS. Yes, I know, it's very old. And I watched it on VHS, and I found it really scary, and at the same time, like, really surreal and emotional, because in the actual video, Batman Beyond, the Batman is got is cartoon. It's cartoon, and everyone voices the cartoon characters. So you had Batman. And all I know from the plot was Joker has this gas, this laughing gas that he makes people inhale, and they start laughing hysterically and they die, like in the 1989 Batman, where he uses certain products to make them laugh and they die from laughing. I know there's a guy in Batman Beyond who knows the Batman. It's not Alfred, but he's like sort of like a security guard or whatever, an agent, and he helps Batman. And I know that he makes him inhale this gas, and he starts laughing hysterically, really, really bad, and he ends up laughing so much that he dies with like the grin on his face. And I always found the scene really, really creepy, and I got a bit creeped out, but at the same time I felt bad for the character in it, but I also was really, really scared, because Mark Hamill joke is really scary. His laugh's really surreal and scary. It's very hard to do, I've heard. And also in the plot there was Dick, who is Robin from Batman, who gets kidnapped by the Joker, and obviously you have Harley Quinn and the Joker in this. And he gets kidnapped by the Joker, and he turns him into this mini Joker, like him, where he becomes crazy and he's so distraught. And there's this scene, and it's so emotional to me. I can't watch it because it makes me cry a little bit because I feel bad. But there's this scene where he tells the mini Joker to kill Batman, but he can't do it because it's really Dick inside him. And also he gets, because of all the torture and all the things he went through becoming the mini Joker, like his son, he's like a son to the Joker, and he just turns the gun on the Joker, and he says, no, you're not killing me, you have to kill the Batman. And he turns it on him, and he shoots him by accident because he's had enough of all the torture, and everything just gets to him, and he shoots him. And it's kind of sad because the Joker saw him as like a son pretty much, but he's destroyed him in a way, and he just kills the Joker, and the Joker gets all distraught and just dies. And then Dick just starts crying his eyes out, like really, really bad, Robin. And I think it's Batgirl that comes over to him and says, "It's okay, Dick, it's over now, you don't have to worry about it anymore." But it's just so emotional. But yeah, I remember watching it, and it's making me emotional now, really. It's really sad thinking about the scene. But yeah, that was one of the films I watched when I was younger, and there's a lot of the animated series of Mark Hamill that I've seen with Harley Quinn, because I can do impressions of that Harley Quinn as well. That Harley Quinn's pretty much the same as the Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, but she's more Brooklyn and less high pitched. I do an impression of Harley, but this isn't the impressions video. But she's in the Batman, like the animated series, and she's with Mark Hamill. And I have to say, Mark Hamill is a brilliant actor for the stuff that he does. He was in Star Wars, and I didn't know he was actually the Joker's voice in the animated series. I found that out a bit later on in life because I knew he was in Star Wars, but he was in that as well. So the last joke I'm going to talk about, because I don't want this video to be really, really long, and it is getting long now, The last Joker I'm going to talk about is the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, who isn't in the Batman films as such, because he's in a standalone Joker film, and it's very dark and surreal. It came out in 2019, and I actually watched it in cinemas when it first came out as well. And his Joker is based upon The Killing Joke, which is also another one that Mark Hamill did, an animated film of it, and also there's other adapted versions of The Killing Joke as a cartoon, but it's based upon the comic of The Killing Joke. And in The Killing Joke, Arthur Fleck is a comedian, stand-up comedian, and then turns into this, because everyone doesn't treat him the same as they should as a human being, or treat him like a human being and everything. He turns into this, he turns into the Joker pretty much. So in the film, it's pretty much the same, but he becomes a stand-up comedian, but no one really appreciates him and likes him. There's a lot of stuff in the film that's in his head, or which is reality and in his head, but you don't really know and you can't really tell, but you sort of can as it progresses. And he's an adoptive child, and his mother adopted him as a kid because he thought his mum was his real mum, but it's his adoptive mum. And because he finds the papers in the film to prove that, but he's also got a head injury which was caused by abuse when he was a child as well. And he has this condition which is a laughing condition, which actually is a real condition. I've read up somewhere it's a real condition. It's a bit like epilepsy or narcolepsy and stuff, but it's like an uncontrollable laughter when the person becomes stressed in a situation, so he keeps laughing. His Joker was very, very different because he had orange attire and red suit, and his makeup was very different from all the other Jokers as well. And I remember when I was in the cinemas, I watched it for the first time, and I was so amazed. I never doubted it. There was a lot of people doubting him and saying, "Oh, he's not like Heath Ledger, he's not like this Joker." And really, you can't compare Jokers when you think about it, because it's like comparing apples with pears. And can't compare them all. They're all their own individual Jokers, and except, this Joker, Joaquin Phoenix Joker, wasn't actually like part of any films with the Batman. So, but yeah, I was really shocked and he really did pull it off as a Joker, and I was like, I actually think he's the most amazing Joker now. I think he's probably like at the top now of my list. Because it was very dark, but it was also very entertaining at the same time. And he's just basically a man he's basically like everyone. He's a human being, he's like everyone. He goes through stuff in life and no one appreciates him, no one cares about him, they just trod on him. And there's a line in the film where he says, you just walk all over me. You walk by me in the streets and you just walk right over me. You don't care about me. And it makes him turn into the Joker, into this other version of himself, to make him look like he's someone else, because he hates being himself now. It's just very dark and surreal. I really loved the film of the Joker as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the backstory and the history behind all the Jokers I've mentioned. The only Joker I didn't mention was Cesar Romero, which I don't really know that much about his Joker. I only know so much about the other ones because I've read some stuff about them and I've discovered them more. So yeah. But I hope you enjoyed this little history and sort of like me when I first discovered them and what I think of all the Jokers in all. And I think there's another Joker as well. In the Batman series now, which is coming. and that's this guy in the Batman. There was this new film that Matt Reeves made, and there's a Joker in that, which supposedly, if there's another one, he'll actually be in it. And his Joker's pretty dark, so that's all I'm gonna say because I don't know that much. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video today. I'm sorry if it's really long, but I was just trying to remember everything and speak about everything as much as possible. Please have a wonderful day today. It's Wednesday today, so I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys. Bye.